And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for August 11th. Well, here we are on day 223 of the year, and we are back to an active pattern with Kevin and Linda tropical storms in the eastern Pacific, 16W, which is barely in the western Pacific, and Potential Tropical Cyclone 6L, which is likely to become a tropical storm soon enough, as we have now 51 storms so far this year. It's day 72 of Atlantic hurricane season, with Potential Tropical Cyclone 6 expected to impact a significant portion of the Caribbean, and of course Invest 95L that's now right behind it, with a 20% chance of formation. However, that might be going up pretty soon. Moving on to the eastern Pacific, there is no AOIs, but there is two tropical storms, Kevin and Linda. Kevin doesn't really look that great right now, very much disheveled. Linda, however, is expected to become a Category 2 hurricane in terms of official forecasts. Moving on to the western Pacific, there's Tropical Depression 16W. There could become a short-lived tropical storm, and Invest 92W, which we are currently giving a 0% chance of formation when it comes to forming into a tropical cyclone. Here's the North Indian Ocean. There's nothing going on. However, there is a southwestern Indian Ocean AOI about a few hundred miles south-southwest of the southern tip of India that could become something extremely short-lived. However, there's not much model support, and we are currently giving that a 20% chance at this time. Here is the Atlantic satellite imagery as of this moment. You can see Potential Tropical Cyclone 6 there, the south of Puerto Rico. It is expected to make landfall in Hispaniola tomorrow as a weak tropical storm, before continuing onward, possibly impacting more of the Caribbean, and then possibly posing a threat to Florida later on. In the eastern Pacific, you can see disheveled Kevin there, and Linda, which is considerably better in terms of its efforts at organizing. So two completely contrast there between the two storms, one weakening and one on its way of strengthening. Here it is in the western Pacific. I put the satellite a little bit more right than normal, considering the fact that, of course, 16W is so far east in the western Pacific there. It is expected to continue moving west, and its status as a tropical storm, when it does become one, is not expected to be that long, but of course it is too late for it to be named Hone now. All those hopes and dreams have now been crushed. Moving on to the North Indian Ocean, there's not much going on here at the moment. Of course, the monsoonal activity continuing as usual. Pretty much the average activity you would expect for August. Of course, nothing expected in the North Indian Ocean for the foreseeable future. Here is the floater imagery for Potential Tropical Cyclone 6. Still winds at 35 miles an hour as of the 5 p.m. advisory. Of course, the 8 p.m. advisory is coming out as I am exporting this, so of course that might be a little bit outdated by the time this goes a little bit out. But regardless, it is a threat to the Caribbean, and of course we could be seeing a tropical storm soon enough. Here we are in the sea surface temperatures with the eastern Pacific. 30 degrees Celsius waters are mainly confined to the coastal waters of Mexico and Baja. Otherwise, it's pretty much 28 to 29 degrees Celsius. Some areas around 27 though. Moving in over to the Atlantic, of course, we're seeing the 8 to 29 degrees Celsius for a majority of the main development region. However, the Gulf of Mexico is the warmest, with those temperatures exceeding 30 degrees in several spots there. The tropics remain a little bit warm, 27 to 28 degrees Celsius in some portions in the southwestern part of that. North Indian Ocean, we're looking at those 28 to 29 degrees Celsius temperatures across the Bay of Bengal. Those temperatures drastically cool off as you head into Oman. With the western Pacific, we're seeing less of those areas with 30 degrees Celsius. In fact, more areas, arguably, that we're seeing temperatures of only 27 now. So interesting to see that we are seeing those cooling temperatures there. Given what's been going on lately, of course, we've been seeing a frenzy of activity there with Lupit, Marine, and Nita. Now all those are gone at this point. Here we are with the sea surface temperature anomalies, those ENSO neutral developing La Nina conditions at this point. Western Pacific is actually looking a lot more cooler than normal in terms of anything between Japan and the Philippines. Although the temperatures in the Sea of Japan are starting to cool off, they're still much above average, but not as bad as they used to be. On this day, in August 11th, 1987, Super Typhoon Betty was peaking as a Category 5. It would later go on to make landfall in the Philippines as a Category 4 typhoon. Tropical Storm 10 was also there, but of course that was only named by the JMA, not recognized by the JTWC. Tropical Depression 3 was also active, and Tropical Storm 2L, which was not named operationally, was also there. 3L, of course, would become the erratic, long-lived Arlene. Of course, you can find more on this day products by Cyclone History. Their Twitter is featured on the bottom bar below. Well, here we are. The next name in the Atlantic is now Fred, followed by Grace, the former of which we're likely going to be getting soon. In the Eastern Pacific, it is Marty, followed by Nora. And if you are a Central Pacific fanboy, your basin sucks because you failed to produce Hone, and you're still not going to get Hone for the weeks to come. In the Western Pacific, it's Omaze, followed by Kansan, and in the North Indian Ocean, we're still looking out for Gula, followed by Shaheen. Moving on over to Southern Hemisphere, next name in the Southwest Indian Ocean, that is now Anna, followed by Batsire. In the Australian region, we're looking out for Patty and Ruby, and in the South Pacific, it's Cody. We'll be back for another tropical weather bulletin tomorrow night.